two, one. Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to episode 286 of the KBMOD podcast. It is July 23rd, 2017. We were gone last week. We did not have a cast, so don't worry, you didn't miss anything. I was at a family reunion, and then the rest of everybody else was pretty much busy as well. So no cast, but we are back this week. No Katie Zen though, no Brad. I don't even know the last time Brad was on this podcast, maybe 6 months ago at this point. I can't remember. But we do have the illustrious Yingity Yang filling in. I think, Yingity, you were on 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I was on 2 weeks ago, and then I don't know how long it was before after that, but this is my third time on.
Yeah. So you're just becoming just a regular. I mean, Yingity's my go-to fill-in guy because it's
very flattering.
I hope
he's well-spoken. He's consistent.
He is.
I mean,
he's very good.
These other folks who claim to be the normal cast members.
Yingity's more consistent.
Lately. I mean, but then again, KD probably does need a few weeks to recover from his 21st birthday. That's
true. Yeah, that was it's Friday or Saturday? Saturday, was it?
I'm guessing he's probably still unconscious.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't heard really much from him. I think he typed in Slack at one point, just to say that he wasn't going to be on tonight, and that's it. So yeah, he might be nursing a severe hangover.
I hope he has some stories for next week.
Yeah, that's the best thing. I'm hoping we'll get some.
Do you think that maybe him not being on the cast this week sets the precedent? Like there's now an expectation for him to have some stories because he wasn't on the cast this week.
That's actually a good idea. It's like if you're not going to be on there, some good stuff must have transpired, and we want to hear about it. So it's good. It's good to be back. And again, thanks, Ying, for joining us. And of course, Brandon. You were not on the week that Yingity was on previously, so
no, I've been out a couple weeks.
Yeah, you've been busy, dude. What's new with you? Anything super exciting? I mean, we're going to go through what we've been playing and all that, but what have you been doing, Brandon?
The past few weekends have been pretty busy. I think we had the weekend that I was gone. I was at two weddings actually. Like one on Saturday, one on Sunday, and I was actually in KD's neck of the woods. It was in the Midwest. And,
that's right. I forgot that you went. Yeah, you were in Indiana.
Yeah, so we had a family wedding on Saturday, and then a friend getting married on Sunday. It was a Jewish wedding, so it was on Sunday. So it just worked out perfectly. Like they were in the same region. Yeah, they were in the same region of the country. It's just like one round trip flight, get a rental car. Like a really busy weekend, but. That was a lot of fun. I was glad it worked out that way because I'm not sure we would have been able to make both weddings otherwise. And then the week after that, went on a last minute trip to Vegas, won some money, and
Oh, okay, yeah, Vegas. Okay, so and what are we talking like? So I know your whole philosophy on Vegas because we've talked about this in the podcast before. But your idea is you go with a certain expectation of what you're going to spend, and if you lose it, whatever. You didn't expect to win, and if you win, it's nice. So
yeah, it's basically when you contribute like $100, $200, you're basically that's your entertainment, and if you get money back, then great. If you don't, that's just that's the cost of having fun.
I like that approach.
But this time actually, it's like one of the better times I've done in Vegas. We just had some good runs. I think I won about $500, and
wow, very nice.
Paid for the flight there. And can't ask for much more when you go to Vegas.
No, that's really good. What do you play? Blackjack or what is?
Yeah, mostly blackjack. Occasionally craps, but like I feel like blackjack is the go-to. And other people like to play blackjack, and other people like craps is kind of a tough game to learn. And so some people don't really want to play it. So that's like maybe something that you'll play by yourself late at night or something. But blackjack is great, and we had like some times where. It's great when like you get everyone around the table, like you get the whole table to yourself, all with your friends.
Yeah,
it's so much fun. So
I was just gonna say, I've had quite an experience with craps late night after I've eaten some Taco Bell. So I feel you on that. Yeah. All right, sorry, I should have said it sooner, but I thought of it. My brain is working in such a capacity that I was like, let me get that terrible pun.
Appreciate the delayed joke.
Yes, no problem. That's good though. Congrats, man. 500 up. That's
Really
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, you know,
Very
you
nice.
basically the way you do Vegas is you think of every trip individually. So it's like some
Yeah.
trips you're gonna win, some trips you're gonna lose. So like I don't keep a lifetime tally of what I've won or lost
Right.
forever, but I just keep a tally of like what I've won or lost on that trip. So it was a good trip.
Nice. Very cool. And Ying, how's your week been? Anything exciting? Just working,
Yeah,
grinding
mostly
out
just
there?
working.
Yeah.
Nothing,
Cool.
nothing too exciting. I've even not really had time to stream,
Mm.
which is too bad. But no, I've got nothing really exciting going on. Just working.
Just working. Cool. All right. Well, let me move on to food. Well, actually, I'll go too because last week I wasn't here, but I went to a family reunion up in on my dad's side in Connecticut. It was like a mix between my grandmother's 80th birthday and just seeing a bunch of his side of the family and cousins and stuff that we don't normally see that live in Minnesota. And during it was a really good time. So, and we had great weather for it. And it was it was on Sunday. But during the during the reunion, at one point they say, "Hey, let's go out to the front because we're going to take some pictures with everybody." You know, obviously in one place, and this doesn't happen very often. So we go out to the front, and out in the front of the house, under a tree, is a minister, some I don't know, white kind of little material to almost make like a little tent. And my cousin and her boyfriend at the time are standing there, and I'm like, wait, what is happening? And so basically a wedding broke out in the middle of the family reunion. Yeah, it was anyway, you got to kind of my dad's side of the family, both sides of my family are very interesting, but basically, they decided that since all the family was together, that they would take this opportunity to get a minister and get married while we were there. So it actually was kind of cool, and they both have like 2 kids apiece, so the kids were there and their little like it was very interesting. It was bizarre, and I
So
don't
they
think I've ever
hijacked the reunion and your grandmother's birthday party
to get married. Yes, but
Wow.
I have to say,
talk about some one-upsmanship.
Right, exactly. And so I was like, initially I was like, oh, this could be a little bit awkward because it does seem to kind of steal the show. Dude, I'm not kidding you. The dude, as soon as we sat down, they had these little benches. We sat down. He got through, he read his little, the minister read his little thing. They did the vows, 5 minutes. We congratulated them. The entire thing was over in maybe 9 minutes.
Oh my God.
It was incredible.
Pretty
and I was
good.
like, this is the way weddings should be. I mean, if you ask me. But yeah, so it ended up being actually pretty cool, and it didn't really steal the limelight because my grandmother was like excited and surprised, and so it ended up working out. But yeah, definitely one of the most bizarre things that's ever happened at any family function. A wedding just popping up out of the blue, and then it was like, and then we just went back to eating and everything, and it was like, did that just happen? Okay, you guys are married now. So
I was gonna say, yeah,
awesome.
9 minutes. It's basically just like a mild intermission. Like, hey, real quick.
It basically was. Yeah.
Marriage done quick.
Yeah, exactly. It was very, very quick. And then, and I just ate a lot of good food there, which I'll end up getting to. But did you guys eat anything good this week? I'll let you go first just in case there's anything. Katie's not here because he came into my chat, I think it was last week, and was like, APL, this is an emergency, in all caps. And I think he was on his phone, and he was like, what was the item from Taco Bell you said that I had to try? And I was like, the naked chicken chips, KD. And he's like, okay, thank you. And then he just left. So I don't know if he actually ended up eating them or getting them. I don't even know if they're still available.
At least he's following through on his commitment. I appreciate that he's making an attempt.
Exactly. So I guess that will remain to be seen. We'll have to see next week if he's back, if he got a chance to try those. But did you guys have any items that you found interesting this week?
So one of the things that we did for work was we went and had this big board meeting at one of the board members' like really fancy house. But one of the things they had there is they had a grilled cheese truck to cater it. And so we got this ticket. You can go up and order all these very unique gourmet grilled cheeses. And the one that I got was it was bacon cheese, but it was also macaroni. So it was macaroni and cheese in the sandwich. I've never had that before. So that was very, very, very good. I enjoyed that quite
fantastic.
a bit. Yeah, it was excellent. Because it was like baked. It was like baked mac and cheese, and then that was in the sandwich, and then there was cheese on the other side of that as well.
That sounds delicious.
But like
mac and
some
cheese.
of the other options, some of the other options that were there too. There was like a poutine grilled cheese sandwich, which I don't really know how I feel about that one because there were fries inside of the sandwich. But apparently that was very good as well. And then the other one was just like some sort of like Montreal smoked meat grilled cheese. But it was like I've never seen grilled cheeses like that before, so that was my biggest food experience.
Nice. Yeah, mac and cheese on I've only had that a few times. I've had something similar at a food truck in LA to what you're describing. That was really good. It was like a baked kind of mac and cheese on there, and then like a meat. And I enjoyed it. And I also have had it on like a burger before, like a burger with baked mac and cheese on it. As I've like heard about that too. You ever had it? Yeah, it was very good. I don't think I've ever had a bad. I mean, it's hard to. I mean, you think about it, right? I mean, I guess the one odd part is that it's like a pasta, but I mean it's delicious. It's covered in cheese. I mean, it can't really be a bad accoutrement on like any kind of like sandwich. It would be kind of hard to mess up, but
yeah,
I don't know. And then, okay, yeah, that's pretty interesting. Do you guys have? I don't know, with where you work, do they have like many food trucks and stuff around like your area, like that are pretty varied? I feel like in LA, it's like that a lot too. But
the part of town that the museum is located in, it's like very, I don't know, arts oriented, and so they take a lot of pride in like doing other, I don't know, I guess cultural events where it's like, oh yeah, we're having like a food truck festival. There was a car show last week and a motorcycle show the week before that. It's a very active downtown part of the city, so there is a lot of businesses that are able to fit into street events like that, where like roads are closed down for a couple of days. So food trucks are there. I think they succeed quite well in the city.
Cool. All right, that's good. I like you always. I feel like Yang. I mean, we've only done the cast a few times, but you always have some kind of food experience. I mean, this is just continuing to get me excited for TwitchCon.
Am I setting an expectation for myself now? Do I have to like go out and like now I'm in a rush?
No,
like,
I
gotta find something cool.
It's like, oh God, I'm gonna be on the podcast. Better find a dumpster. Like, actually, guys, I didn't get to. Well, I knew I was gonna be on the cast, and so I found a dumpster and I grabbed something just to have a story. No, I'm just excited.
Like the dumpster is coming for TwitchCon. I have to save myself for that.
Exactly.
The high class dumpster, as we determined last time.
Yep. We're going to pump you full of all the American goodies you can't get in Canada before you leave.
Oh, God.
Cool. Brandon, did you have anything spicy this week?
Only thing I can think of was interesting is in Vegas, obviously there's a lot of nice food in Vegas. I actually didn't really have any of the nice food, but we were up very late 2 nights and really needed some sustenance. So there's a place in the Cosmopolitan. It's a breakfast place called Egg Slut.
Yes.
And I hadn't had it before, but I had it twice this trip, and it's pretty good. I would say it's like a little overpriced for what it is, but you know, you're in Vegas, and when you need food late night in Vegas, you're not exactly price conscious. So it's basically, I would say like high class breakfast foods. It's sort of like a little bit fancier ingredients. But I basically had like a pretty good sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich both nights, and it was really good. I don't think at the time I really appreciated the taste that much. I was mostly just looking to coat my stomach, but
right.
But yeah, people, I think some people like the edginess of the name. I don't really care about the name, but it is pretty good.
Pretty adequate.
That's like the only.
I've heard about Egg Slut. I've never had it, but I've heard it discussed.
Yeah.
I just watched.
It's like one of the only places that is open 24 hours, and so when you go there at like 6 a.m, it is packed because all the people gambling at 6 a.m, they all go there. So there were like a whole bunch of people just making fools of themselves. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to get something in my stomach and go to bed. So
right,
it was good though.
Okay, that's good. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. So I'm going to go real quick, and if you guys think of anything else, let me know. But so at the family reunion, as I was driving in, it's in Connecticut. We were driving through the town where my grandmother lives, and on a giant billboard there, and this is definitely regional, but it said the lobster roll is back at McDonald's, and I was like, wow, okay. I love me a good lobster roll. It's been a long time, but I was like, man, would I ever tempt fate at a McDonald's lobster roll? And so before you answer right away, what do you think a McDonald's lobster roll would be priced at? And don't look it up, but just I want your guys, like, what do you think they would charge for something like that?
I'm very out of touch with fast food pricing.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess $12.
Okay.
I feel like it's probably less, but that's what I'm gonna guess.
I'm gonna say $8.50.
I think, yeah, Ying, you're the closest. It was $8.99. It was $8.99 is what they were charging. Which again, so part of me goes like, maybe it's not that bad because it like their other thing was like all real lobster, no filler is what they're claiming on the thing. And so like a $9. I mean, again, lobster's more expensive in general, but you know, I would be a little more suspicious if it was like a $5 or $6 item. But I do feel like the $8.99 price tag makes me kind of go like, okay, maybe. I mean, $9, that's not cheap. I mean, that's not what you think of with fast food for at least one sandwich.
Definitely high end for McDonald's menu.
For McDonald's, exactly. So I didn't end up. Tab was like, "You should definitely try it and then report back for the cast or whatever." I was like, "No." But then
you didn't. Did you really not try it?
I really didn't. I didn't. But see, I'm getting in a roundabout way. So the spread at the reunion was just incredible. We had everything. There was like barbecue and you know, like hot dogs, hamburgers, ribs, sausage, pulled pork. It was so good. But then there was a pot of lobster in butter for hot lobster rolls, and I usually associate lobster rolls with it being cold, like a cold thing, like with mayo. But this was basically lobster, and just covered in butter and maybe some spices. And
who
the lobster
brought
roll
the hot lobster to your family reunion?
The hot lobster. I think it was one of my cousins. Ow. And I have to tell you, I mean, it was summer, it was warm, but my God, it was. I mean, I hadn't had lobster in a really long time. It was just. I could have made myself sick eating. I could have eaten multiple. It was so good. I just love. Really I just never get lobster all that often. I think a lot of people don't. But
you know what's funny, Scott, is I actually forgot. I also had a lobster roll in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
and that's where my. I mean, it was really good. There's a place called Lobster Me. It's actually like fast food lobster, but not fast in that like you get served quickly. It's pretty expensive. It was like I think $25. Which is like that's actually like sort of normal price for a lobster roll. So that's why I guessed the $12 for McDonald's. So I was like, that's like half price what a regular lobster roll costs. But yeah, it was really good, and I got like some Cajun. I had like a Cajun aioli or something. Oof. But yeah, I love lobster when it's served hot with drawn butter.
Dude, it was so good.
There's a restaurant near me. That is hard to stay away from because it's hard to not go there for lunch because they make a very good lobster bisque and it's always ready to go. Like they just constantly have the pot on the heater and it's always fresh. You can get like a pretty good bowl of it for I think they charge like $11 Canadian. So what, like $8 or $9 for you guys? Nice. And it becomes an addiction because it's so close to where I work. They're always open, and it's so good. But the other thing that was when we were thinking about other types of food, the sandwich that I had, I now remember, came with deep fried pickle chips, which I had never tried before.
Those are good.
And I thought that sounds wonderful because I love pickles, and surely if they're deep fried, it's only going to add to the experience. Yeah. And I was taken aback because it's not that I didn't enjoy them, but maybe I just set my expectation too high because to me they just got very salty very quickly.
I think you got to try it again.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, deep fried pickles with ranch. That's like
ranch.
I know that's about as good as it gets.
Come with the chipotle mayo.
Okay.
And it was very good. I don't mean to make it sound like I didn't enjoy them. I just thought I was gonna love them, and I didn't.
Okay.
So I was a little bit.
So they were like acceptable, but you weren't over the moon about it. To be fair, I've had pickle chips can be. A lot of it depends on like the cut of like how thin or thick they cut it, what kind of breading they use.
I was gonna say, were they spears soggy. Or were they chips? Like were they?
They were chips. Yeah, okay. They were chips, little round discs of pickle.
Okay, okay. I'll take it either way, but the like spears versus chips is a bit different.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
As I'll have to, maybe I just have to, maybe this truck didn't do them particularly well, because I mean, just when I read the description of them, I thought, wow, that sounds wonderful. And instead it was just okay. So I guess I have to try somewhere else.
You're gonna laugh. I literally also had pickle chips in Las Vegas. Like, I don't know how this. I don't know.
Literally copied everything we're saying.
I don't know how this keeps happening, but like we went to a place called Rock Bar, which is it's basically just like American food, and we got pickle chips, and I got like a breakfast thing. But so yeah, good, yeah. I feel like I'm living vicariously through you guys in our food journey.
Yeah, look at that. Okay, that's good. Well, at least we're all in sync. Or Brandon was in sync with both of us, and we didn't even realize it when it came to the food this week. That's awesome. Okay. All right. Moving on from what this podcast is normally about and food, we will talk a little bit about the games that we've been playing. And Brandon, I'll let you go first. What games have you been playing this week?
I've had a pretty good week of gaming, I would say. You know? Because I had been on a bit of a drought, being gone these past few weekends, Vegas, weddings. Like, I hadn't had a chance to really play many games recently. So this past week, I got a chance to dig into some PUBG again, and actually played with Hardballer and a couple of friends from work. And I hadn't played in a couple weeks. So I was like trying to kind of shake off the rust a bit. And I thought, we're playing with kind of a group that doesn't have a ton of synergy, right? Like not everyone knows each other. So I was kind of tempering my expectations, and we just had like great teamwork, and we won 2 games in a row. Like we played 2 games together with this group, and we won both games, and then quit. And I was just like, that is about the most satisfying hour and a half of gaming that I've had in a while.
Nice.
So that was really nice. And I hadn't played more PUBG since, but like that one little session could get me through a week, week or two. Like, I don't need to play for a week or two after that one. It was just so nice. And then awesome. So luckily, obviously I would have played more PUBG, but this weekend the new Diablo season started. And so the flavor of the month right now is everyone's getting back into Diablo. So I bought the Necromancer pack. Fired up a new Necromancer for the season, and that's what I've been playing for the past few days with a bunch of the KBMOD folks. So yeah, just leveling up a seasonal character, trying to kind of get geared up. Diablo is usually good for like 2 to 3 weekends worth, and then you're kind of done with it. But that 2 to 3 weekends, I can. It's fun to put in another 20 to 40 hours, and then put it back on the shelf.
How many hours do you have in that Diablo at this point total? Do you know?
I mean, total? I'm not sure. I don't even know if you can look that up in the. I guess you can look it up in game. But I probably have like, I would guess 250, 200 hours probably. Okay. I mean, because I've played it so much over the years. Like, I played through the story, and then I played through Reaper, and then the seasonal stuff I feel like is good for like 40, 50 hours. So actually, I don't know. I might have more than that. I feel like Diablo is one of those games, kind of like WoW, that you sort of measure your playtime in days.
Because, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So,
days, I guess.
But I've gotten some. I mean, I've spent like $100 total or something, like maybe a little more than that, and I've gotten 4-ish years out of that game every now and then. Like, it's just I think it's a great value.
Pretty good return on investment. Yeah, exactly.
And I think, like,
especially like you said, even if you only play like for 2 weeks when it drops new content, it's like whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's always something fun to come back to, and even just this season, they've made some quality of life changes that are so nice. Like, they finally added an option to have an armory. So like before, if you wanted to have different builds for the same character, you had to like carry around the actual pieces of armor. You had to manually change all your skills, manually change all your gems. It was honestly like really frustrating. And it basically meant that unless you were really hardcore about it, you wouldn't do more than one build. You would just do one single build. But now with the armory stuff, they allow you to save a set of gear, skills, and gems, sort of the same way that you do in WoW, where you can save different sets of gear, and with one click, it switches over your skills and everything to the other build. So they finally put that in Diablo, and it's like, even just little things like that make a night and day difference in how fun it is to play. So I like that they're still improving little by little, and I haven't, the Necro was like $15. I don't even know that getting the Necromancer class is worth $15. But the nice thing is you don't actually have to pay that unless you want to roll the new class. So like they're not, $15 is not a big deal if you want to try the new class, but you can still play the new season without it. So that's good.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, I just going back, not to change the subject, but I feel like that's how you always describe when we talk about going back to Battlegrounds, how you got those 2 wins and how that can keep you going for like a week or 2 without playing it. And I don't know, to me that is really the mark of, because I have been having the opposite experience where I've just not been having a fun time. I mean, I've been having fun with the game, but not really in any winning sense. And then you'll get a win here or you'll get a win there, and it is amazing how. Because unless you're winning like all the time, which I don't think many people are, unless like you're playing in a super try-hard squad or whatever else, like it is very interesting, just the nature of that game, how it can really keep you going for a while. I don't know, is that your experience too, Ying? Because you play a decent amount of PUBG at this point.
Yeah, but my experience has been usually been dying really early and spectating.
Yeah, I'm feeling that.
So, I mean, but I totally understand the appeal. And I think it's partially because you are so committed to the game once it starts. Like, you're going to be there for a while. You have to think about so many seemingly mundane things, like what town are you going to go to? How are you going to move across the map? Where is the zone? And so for all those little micro movements to pay off on the big, like on the bigger picture, I think I understand why it's very rewarding. My experience, mostly because I don't roll with a group very often, has been a little bit different. But I think that's because I'm playing wrong. That feels like a game that is honestly, like, truly the most enjoyable when you have a full squad with you.
Definitely.
And having that teamwork pay off, like in a similar way that Counter-Strike works, right? Like when you work together and something like a decision ends up being the difference between winning and losing, it is a very gratifying feeling to know that you made that happen in a way that that beat potentially 96 other people.
Right.
I think that was one of the things that made those wins so satisfying, was that it wasn't like we were all just fantastic players. Some of us were new to the game. It wasn't like we'd played together before, but we just had really good communication. We didn't, there wasn't really arguing or anything. Like everyone was pulling their weight. We were like being decisive about where we wanted to go. And one of the wins that we got, I think we won basically due to our tactics. Like the circle was coming in. We saw this other group. We saw this other group hold up in a house that was going to be outside the next circle. They were in a firefight with these other guys, and instead of engaging, we basically used those other guys as decoys, because we knew that team probably wouldn't make it in the circle because they were so occupied. So we sort of ran around. We took a bit of a risk, because like if they came and looked at us, they would have had some free shots. But we took a risk, sort of ran behind a hill, and then sure enough, like both those squads died because they were so preoccupied with shooting each other. And it was just like getting a win because your tactics are superior. It's just like, it just feels so good.
That's so good. Yeah. Also, we actually experienced a win this week where I think everybody stayed alive, or maybe it was a 4-person win. I think it was. And we had a situation where we got circle RNG the entire way. And I've never really experienced that in this game. Most of the time it's like the opposite. But and it worked out the same thing. We were letting teams fight each other. We were constantly where we needed to be, and teams were constantly having to push in on us. And I was like, this game is easy when everything goes your way. It was like so funny. We were laughing because like I think there was, at the last 3 or 4 circles, we were like either like close to the center or just perfectly positioned. And but that also, I mean, that's part of what people hate, the circle RNG, but that is what keeps the game I think pretty interesting at different points. I mean, obviously you curse it and you love it in the same breath when it helps you, but yeah, that was like, and I feel like there's always kind of new experiences coming on when it comes to that game too. It's like you never, and that's, I think with those kind of games, that's part of the appeal. It's like you'll still see stuff that you haven't seen before, or have a moment that happens to you that's like, well, that's new. So
yeah, and especially because the game's still changing so much. Like that circle RNG changed a whole lot when they made the circles more random within the next circle. And so like there's a big difference from the way you have to play now compared to what you used to have to do, is like just basically go in the center, because the circles trended toward the center. Now you can have circles that are like way toward one edge, so it is a lot more random, which can be great for you, like you say. Sometimes it'll just be right on top of you the whole time.
Yep.
But other times you got to move a whole lot across the circle.
Yeah, and I do have to say, Toom is talking about this, but there. Oh man, I hope somebody. I got to highlight that VOD just at the end for this one win. But Toom, who a lot of people will know, it's just KBMOD community member as well. But I play with him a lot, and Toom's actually really fucking good at the game, I have to say. He's just constantly aware, and PUBG is a game that really rewards awareness and laser focus for sure. And I wouldn't say those are my strong suits, especially when I'm streaming the game. 90% of the time, I'm like, I'll look over at chat. I'm like, oh, I'm dead. Okay, well, whatever. Hey, this is fun. I can watch people that are more aware than me. But he came down to a 2v1, and he is basically there's nowhere to hide, and he knows where the last two are. And he won the game. They had sniper rifles, and he's doing this movement thing where he's just like zigzagging back and forth, making these insane erratic movements. I think they had either a car or like an AWP, and you're hearing these shots, and they're just whiffing on him. And I swear to God, it goes on and he's taking shots as he's weaving. The entire thing went on for what felt like maybe a minute and a half. And I've never seen anything like it. And he basically won the game just by the erratic movement and playing like they could not line up a shot, and it was just one of the nuttiest things I've ever seen. So again, that was like another thing where I'm like, I've never seen somebody win a game by standing in the middle of the open and just abusing like the movement mechanic and like making people who clearly weren't very good at the game look like total, I won't use the word retards, but basically that. So anyway, always new stuff. Yeah, that game continues to impress, and I feel like we talk about it all the time, and we will actually talk about maybe a little bit, not necessarily a misstep, but this is just a filler or a little clue that you should stay tuned, because we are going to talk about Battlegrounds in regards to a ban that happened this week. So stay tuned for that, though. I won't get into that now. But was there anything else? Sorry, Brandon. Before
I don't know. I guess that was it. It's been it's been a nice little gaming diet. Diablo and PUBG.
Cool. All right, Yingity, how about you go ahead?
I haven't been playing too much out of the ordinary. I've still been playing CS for the most part. I've still also been playing a little bit of Rising Storm 2, although I think I'm slowing down on that game a little bit. The newest addition to what I've been playing is only been on stream, and I've been starting to play the Lego Star Wars Complete Saga.
Oh. Nice.
Starting from episode 1, we're going to go through the entire thing all the way up to Force Awakens, which is now out. But I've never played any of the Lego games. So when I boot them up, a lot of people are like, "Oh man, the nostalgia, and it's bringing back a lot of memories. This was my childhood," and I never had that. I didn't play any of the Lego Star Wars, but nonetheless, people tell me they aged very well. That it's still a fun game to go through. So I thought that'd be a fun game to do on stream. And it is a very cute game. The only thing I have to say about it is that for being a children's game, I sure get stuck a lot.
I'm figuring out what to do next. Yeah.
Because what my chat would be constantly telling me is stop trying to find a logical solution to why you're stuck, and just break everything that you could possibly find, because that's how you progress through levels. I particularly got stuck on this one area where I could not find a door or any way to actually move through this section that I got into. And the section is long enough that it doesn't make sense to backtrack. And I probably spent a good 15 or 20 minutes just trying to find do I maybe have to jump onto this and try to break this open, or do I have to what's the secret here?
Right.
But of course the solution is because I didn't think about the fact that if I broke this one flower pot, its pieces would fall kind of towards another door, and then you could use the force to rebuild those Lego pieces into a computer that then would open the door.
Oh, of course.
Oh, logical. Yeah, totally.
And I thought, wow, how could I have possibly missed that?
Right.
I've been punished by that 3 or 4 times, where I'm just like, okay, what's the solution here? Do I have to stand on here? Do I have to push this button? Do I have to find a character?
Right.
No, I just didn't break this one particular piece that is hiding something that has no logical connection to progressing in the level. And so surely when I get stuck, everyone's just spamming break everything. That's the only way you can get through. Just break absolutely everything. You'll find it out. But
that's
by
cool.
the time I had to eventually end the stream because I got stuck again and I can't find anything else to break. So that's going to have to be where I pick up next time.
But it'll pick up next time. Yeah, totally. Oh, that's kind of funny.
But I haven't been playing anything else other than that. But it is overall, I am glad that I'm picking up those games. It's made me want to play Lego Indiana Jones as well as the other one people have been telling me to play. And it's perfect for the amount of time that I have to stream. I typically can't go much longer than 3 hours, and I stream like maybe once or twice a week. But for how long each, I guess, episode is, it's perfect. It takes maybe 2.5, 3 hours to go through, and then I can maybe just start a second episode and play a chapter or something like that, and it works out very well. There's a lot of natural stopping points. But other than that, haven't been playing anything else new. Just Counter-Strike, a little bit of Rising Storm, and then Lego Star Wars.
Yeah, and I don't think I have anything. Too new besides those. Definitely decent amount of CS:GO and PUBG as well. NBA Playgrounds. I think peak players when I was playing on Thursday was 23 on PC. So while I think at one point yeah, that's true. I would have recommended. I feel like every week I have to give an update on how that player base is continuing to die. Though this week when I played it, I was getting games pretty fast. So at least those 23 players were all searching ranked at the same time. So I have to give some props to them.
Do they have leaderboards? Like, what's your spot on the leaderboard?
They do. They do have leaderboards. I actually haven't looked in a while. It's funny because I should check for next week. But like I was getting guys. So my elo is like around like 3,600. And I was getting guys anywhere from like 28 or 25 to up over 4,000. So it's just like, why do you really need a ranking system when all it needs to do is find anybody who's playing the game to match you against? But anyway, so all right, let's go into a little bit of stuff, or go into some things that are happening on the KBMOD website, the wonderful website we have, kbmod.com. There was an early access first look at a game called Brawl Out, and that was by Drake. So you can go ahead and take a look at that. Looks like a pretty interesting title. And yeah, so good write-up by him, pretty in-depth. And you can also take a look at the Cougar Revenger, which was I guess model number PMW 3360, which is a sensor gaming mouse. And that is
an awful name. Revenger?
Revenger. Yeah, no, it's I was laughing as I was about to say it. I was like, yeah, they yeah, I definitely, Brandon, if you were had any saying, that would have never made it out of the doors if you were at that company. I'll tell you that.
That is not a good noun to use for your gaming mouse.
also just Cougar in general. I obviously Cougar has certain connotations. I think the whole thing is just
I think Cougar gaming, that would not be my first choice for a peripheral maker, but
exactly.
Hey, I guess at some point you just run out of names, Yep,
exactly. Yeah. Only so many words in the English language that that can be used. But yeah, check out that content as well as check out the forums. Obviously use the multi-stream, of course, kbmod.com for all that good stuff. And yeah, so let's talk a little bit.
Scott,
sorry.
I think you're forgetting something. We are now inside of 1 month.
That's right.
So we're actually really now promoting.
Yes.
Our Extra Life LAN is going to be on August 18th, August 19th, and August 20th. That's right. That's in just a few weeks.
Yeah,
we only have essentially 3 podcasts before Extra Life LAN. So August 18th through 20th, we're going to be streaming. I don't even know how many hours, but a lot of hours that weekend.
Yep.
From Pittsburgh. So please tune in. Put it on your calendar. We will remind you until it happens. But that is coming up really soon. I got a notification because I'd set like a notification for a month before. I don't really know why I set that because maybe if I'd forgotten to do something. But I've booked my flights. I will be there at Extra Life LAN, at least in body. So please tune into that. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it more.
It's just the shell of Brandon.
Are you getting lobotomized before you get on the plane, Brandon? I don't know where
I just mean that, you know, I can't necessarily say that I will mentally be there, but you will see me on stream.
Physically,
physically I will be there.
Totally.
I cannot speak to the quality of the commentary I might offer, but but you'll have to tune in to see. You know,
Absolutely.
Maybe there. I'm sure. We were talking before the cast about you know, I don't have any tweets on my timeline that I regret. There are, however, parts of our Extra Life LAN that I probably regret. Luckily, those seem to have been lost in part to internet time, except the dab. I did dab last year, which I
yes, you did,
which I actually don't regret. You know why? Because I only did it because it was for charity, and someone paid a lot of money for me to do that. So. I don't know. We'll probably do silly incentives again.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is that you come and join us and just, you know, tune in, donate if you can, but really just come and support us and have a good time. So August 18th through 20th, we'll keep talking about it each week until it happens. But if it's not on your calendar, it should be. Now it is. You have no excuse now. Pause the podcast. If you're on your phone, pause it. Go to your calendar app. Everyone has the calendar app. You can't delete it. 18th, 19th, 20th. Put it on there.
Gotcha.
Now to the news.
All right. Yes. Now over to the news. So, yes, thank you for reminding me about the Extra Life LAN, Brandon. But I was alluding to earlier in the podcast when I said that we were going to talk a little bit more about PUBG. But you guys may have heard the story. You know, so obviously Dr. Disrespect. You know, big Twitch streamer. Really enjoy his stream myself. Glad that he's still sticking to that character after all these years and has found success with it. But he got banned from PUBG for team killing. He was playing with a bunch of other streamers, including Grims, and I believe he killed Grims in the clip. If I'm not mistaken.
He killed a random. So they were in a squad. I actually watched this live because I was watching.
Oh, did
Grims
you? Okay.
At the time.
Yeah.
It was the three of them. They were in a group of three, but they had a fourth that was a random.
That's right.
They found a bike that only had 3 spots. And so it was Grims and Anthony Kong fan, and they were gonna basically tell him like, hey, stay here. We'll go find a different vehicle and we'll come back and pick you up.
Right.
And instead, Doc just takes care of it himself, and kills the random
him right in the head. Yes, exactly. Definitely. I mean, it was pretty brutal. It was pretty savage.
It was. I mean, it was one of those things that like it was funny watching it on stream, you know, and it sort of falls in line with his persona.
Yes.
But when I saw it, I was like, I bet he'll probably get banned because it is clearly in the rules of conduct that they put out that you can't team kill, and you know, someone with that kind of notoriety, you know, it's not like that one's gonna fly under the radar.
Sure.
So I wasn't surprised to see him get banned. But it was like sort of weird because it ended up turning into like this Twitter thing where Dr. Disrespect responded back, and Brendan Green, aka Player Unknown, had a story about like getting kicked in the chest, which was like a very odd. It's just a very odd sort of it was like a very odd set of events that I guess, you know, triggered a bad memory for him. And anyway, I feel like those two things are sort of like separate. Like I think Dr. Disrespect deserved. I think he deserved to be banned temporarily because he did break the rules of conduct, and you want to like not set an example, but like you want to make sure that you're following the rules you lay out, regardless of who the player is. So that made sense to me. But the Twitter stuff was like, I don't know, sort of just normal drama, I guess. That didn't really need to happen. But
agreed. I understand the reason that he got banned, and for me it was just a little. I just kind of felt like the whole Twitter thing, especially with him, Doc being in character, and I mean that's literally, if you follow his Twitter, that's what he does. And so, and again, I got, you know, whatever, people can get triggered, and I know they have past experiences, but I felt like it was a little bit of, I don't know, like grandstanding, and the whole thing put a bad taste in my mouth in regards to at least like how Player Unknown handled, especially the Twitter stuff. And you know, I appreciate him giving context as to why he was triggered and all that, but I just didn't really think it ended up being a good look. But, and I guess to each their own.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that he, like, I guess had the courage to say that, like, to sort of tell people why that upset him so much.
Right. Right.
But also, I think the thing that I hopefully doesn't get lost in this is, like, I don't think he banned Dr. Disrespect because of this, because of like this violence thing that ended up triggering him. Like, I think Dr. Disrespect deserved this ban probably. And then this Twitter thing happened like completely outside of the context of the actual ban itself.
Exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. And I think those have been kind of conflated together, like as being like tied. And I think I even initially thought that when I was like, what's going on? But yeah, they are separate. They are separate issues. And so, yeah, I don't know. I kind of came away from the whole thing. I think in general, I mean, this is just the way that it works with anything that's super popular. There's like a yin and a yang. I mean, I had to do it yang.
Okay.
I had to do it. I mean, you're here, but it also works. There's a yin and a yang to like the success of something like this, because once you get so popular, obviously PlayerUnknown has his goddamn name at the front of the game. And I think overall he's handled it pretty well. Like if you read interviews and stuff, but there's been a few things like, he was really pushing for them to try to release the game and have it done within, or go live within 6 months. That's clearly not happening. We reported on that 2 weeks ago. And again, not that it's anything negative. It's more that the game's super successful. So they didn't really expect it, and they want to be adding more stuff and make sure it's stable for release. But so there was that. And then we had this whole kind of Twitter thing, which was kind of very polarizing and stuff like that. And I don't know, this is just my theory. And I know it's easier said than done. And I haven't been in a position where I've ever had, like, especially something with a game where you're the face of something that just becomes so much bigger than you are. But I feel like there's just no wins when it comes to putting yourself out there as like the guy, and then constantly talking and kind of injecting yourself into stuff. I think people get kind of annoyed with that pretty quickly. And I don't know, I'm not saying we're there yet with PlayerUnknown, because I'll be transparent. I unfollowed him on Twitter because I felt like the stuff he was retweeting, especially in regards to the violent stuff, like, and everybody can have a personal experience, but then he was like retweeting people who were like giving these like super dramatic, and I was just like, dude, the whole thing just feels like so fucking overblown and stupid. And that was my opinion, of course. I'm sure other people have different opinions, but I was like, that's not really the reason. Like, and that's what the unfollow button on Twitter is fantastic, because I mean, obviously I didn't like it. I was like, whatever, I don't have to see it. But it kind of left a taste in my mouth where I was like, that doesn't really have to be. He could just be doing his thing. I'm not saying put your head down and don't engage, but I think you have to be a little bit more careful about the things you choose to engage in. I guess. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think that's true, but also like when I read his response to Doc's Doc's threat, right? The threat was like obviously a joke. He's in character. Sure. But I thought the response was like very well reasoned, basically saying, look, I understand that people think I should have taken this as a joke. I'm telling you why I didn't take it as a joke. And he like, I don't think he was being crazy or unreasonable in basically saying like, here's why I didn't take it as a joke. And then at the end, he just says like, all I ask from anyone that reads this is to consider that your words, however flippant they may be, could have unintended effects on those reading them. And like, regardless of this particular situation, that's not a bad piece of advice. Like, and like, I actually don't mind that he explained himself, because I agree that, for people that have been on the internet a long time, like we have, it should be easy to just let stuff like that roll off your back, But I appreciate that he at least explained why he didn't take it as a joke. And I don't have that experience, so I don't, basically, like, I can't assume that like that's a ridiculous viewpoint to take, because it sounds like the story that he had like really sucked, and that I sort of understand where he's coming from, even though that's never happened to me, so I would have never taken it that way. Sure,
that's fair. I can see that, and you're right. I mean, in the world of like actual PR disasters, it's not like. Anyway, we're not anywhere near anything like No Man's Sky territory.
Yeah,
these are like pretty.
I don't think it's a disaster. It's basically overall. It's like what you're talking about is basically someone like that. I feel like he's gonna be putting, when you put yourself out there, stuff like this is gonna happen, and so it's like I guess from thinking about his perspective, I worry that he's gonna get burnt out from stuff like this. Like stuff,
Right.
this stuff is just going to happen. And so I think that's maybe what you're alluding to is when you're like the face of the game and you're going to be out there on the front lines, you know,
Exactly.
you're going to endure much worse than this.
And that's this is, as Brandon usually does. He's taking my point and explaining it better than I can. That's exactly kind of what the area that I'm going with is that if you're, I mean, his name is on the goddamn front of the game, right? It's PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. So I'm not saying that he has a thin skin or anything like that, but I mean, this is, and obviously, like you said, it was well written out, but this is just, I mean, it's only going to increase from here. So if you set yourself up like that, that's kind of just hard. Like once it's there, there's really, you know, there's not too much going back. You know, it's like he's the guy, right? And he set himself up to be the guy. So,
but at least he's owning it. You know, at least he owned it. He explained it, and he's not like. I don't feel like he's playing the victim in that he's asking people to take his side, or you know, he's just explaining himself and sort of saying, "Look, I'm just asking that you guys like think about what you say, because it might, you know, in other aspects of your life, this stuff could happen."
Sure. So, Ying, did you have any different? What did you think about the ban in general?
So yeah, I had a very particular conversation about this with one of the other mods in your chat the other day. And it was a good conversation, but what I had an issue with wasn't the ban, and I don't have it. And as far as like the Twitter exchange that followed that, I don't have a very strong opinion on that either. I think PlayerUnknown is absolutely fine in enforcing his rules, but there is an inherent flaw to what he's doing here, and I'm taking this strictly from a perspective that has to do with my job, which part of my job is coordinating the museum for its daily operations. So I have to manage staff and set expectations for them.
Right.
What I find very odd is the way that he's making these rules available to people who play the game. It's listed on their website, and as far as I understand, it's not anywhere else. It's not in the game. It's strictly on their website. And I think PlayerUnknown is doing just fine. He has to enforce those rules. Setting expectations for a game and behavior is just fine. But when you are setting rules that don't inherently intersect with the way that people play your game, you're now not making your expectations clear. So the fact that he's decided to display these rules on a platform that is outside of the way that people naturally interact with the game, I think is a mistake. He's not now integrating his expectations into the game. And while I think that doesn't invalidate his expectations or his rules, but it certainly makes them probably less effective because now they're not as exposed to the majority of the player base.
Sure.
I mean, so for example, like if you can do the same thing for a card game. How do you open up and play a new card game? Well, you open it up and the first thing you do is you pull out the rule book. And that's fine. That's the way that people naturally start to play a game. At the beginning of the workday, I make sure my staff meet with me in the morning so I can go over expectations for that day. Again, that's naturally intersecting with the way they do their job. I don't think I've ever installed a game on Steam and then went to the game's website first before I started playing. I launched the Steam game and I start playing. So it's odd to me that the rules aren't made available in-game because that's how people are going to naturally come into those rules. I think if PlayerUnknown wanted those rules to be effective, that would be the way to do it. He may have a reason for not doing it that way, but I think nonetheless, it makes his rules a little harder to follow.
Yeah.
And again, that doesn't invalidate his rules. That doesn't mean that he can't enforce them. He has to enforce them if he wants them to be effective. But it's interesting that he is doing the right thing and enforcing these rules, but not integrating them in a way that I think is the most effective way to make those expectations clear.
I think that's a really fair point because I agree with you that maybe they just haven't gotten around to it, you know, because it's early access and like maybe they plan to put it in game, but it's not there yet. But I do, if we sort of take a step back from this situation itself and talk about like that there is a rules of conduct that players are expected to follow, I think that you're right that it is perhaps unfair that a player is being held to a code of conduct that actually isn't, like they're not required to agree to it before they launch their first game. They don't ever have to click OK, you know, I've read this thing and I won't do these things. And you're right that like if you don't follow Battlegrounds on Twitter, or you know, if you're not engaging with them on their website or social media, you would never know that these rules exist. So I think that's a very fair point.
Yeah, that's my personal experience and why I thought about this, because I literally had no idea that there was a rules of conduct that was listed on the PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds website, because that's not how most people interact with the game. And so it's the same kind of thing. Like if I decided that there was a new rule at the museum and I posted that rule up in my office where no one ever sees, like when no one would ever look to find that rule, I think, of course, I still have to enforce that rule somehow, but there would be a lot of people coming back to me and saying, that's not fair, you didn't make that rule available to us, or it wasn't obvious for us to see. And again, that doesn't invalidate the rule, but that does put a responsibility on the person who created that rule to make it available to those he expects to follow it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so that's
I think
the only
team
issue
killing,
that I really had with this entire thing.
You shouldn't really need rules of conduct to know that like team killing is not okay. If you're doing it
but so that relates. I included a link. I just inserted it to PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds player for team killing a team killer, and I think that does require clarification. I mean, it is absolutely under no circumstance whatsoever can you intentionally team kill, and so that's a little. I think that's still pretty clear cut. But again, that is something that I think should be clarified and made in rules that are made a little more available, or at least more obviously accessible.
I would definitely be in favor of them putting it in the game itself, kind of similar to how when you go to someone's Twitch channel, before you can type in their chat, if they have rules, you have to click OK on their rules, right? And so it's setting expectations for you coming in your first time, and you're agreeing to abide by these rules, you know, because you have to click a box in order to even participate. I think that would probably
seems like it would be a
super
easy fix for them to literally, like, the game starts up and it's like, hey, just so you know, these are the codes of conduct. You hit OK, whatever. Like,
and I mean,
like you said, most people assume that team K and griefing like that, you know, if you do that to randoms, they're going to report you and you're going to get banned. But yeah, that's just an extra step. I mean, totally.
Sure.
Especially since the game is totally online. I think that you can't. I mean, we've been around so long that, like, I don't know. I know that team killing is not an okay thing. But if someone's newer to gaming, like how am I supposed to think that, like, maybe that's not a super obvious thing for someone who's really new to gaming or these types of games?
Yeah,
exactly.
Or alternatively, even if the grief is, you know, obviously unacceptable, you know, team killing is clearly unacceptable, I think then the punishment still needs to be outlined. Like, that's just as important as the rule. What is the reprimand for violating these rules? That should also be made clear, because rules, I don't think, are inherently supposed to be like, the punishment is not supposed to be the point of the rule. The rule is supposed to deter behavior. And this is also not conducive to deterring behavior, because people don't, again, what I was saying, your rules have to naturally intersect with the way that people interact with your product. So you open up a card game, the first thing you do is open the book. That's just what people do. When you install a new Steam game, you just launch it right away. So if the rules can be inserted in some way to the way that most people will interact with that game, then I think there's not a problem.
Cool. Well, I guess for better or worse, you were talking about PlayerUnknown being kind of the face of this game. So when this happened, you know, when this all went down, some random dude tweeted it at PlayerUnknown and said, "Hey, I kill my team always when I'm in a squad. Try finding me and banning me." And
suckers.
And so. I guess the downside of doing that, when you have someone like PlayerUnknown who's pretty hands-on, he found the dude on Steam, because I guess he broadcasts his gameplay. He said he got his ID from his Twitch VODs, and he said, "Thanks for the info and enjoy your ban."
And banned him. That is pretty fucking funny.
I feel like this is also, I mean, that's quite the boast for what appears to be, like, his Twitter handle and his Steam community ID
I know.
exactly the same.
Yeah, what an idiot.
He wasn't exactly hiding here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, didn't really think that. I feel like he was somebody who was like, he'll never respond to me, so I'll just, you know what I mean? Maybe he just figured, like,
he just like assumes that someone like that is not going to be reading their replies. It's like, nope, PlayerUnknown seems like a guy that is actually reading his replies.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So yeah, definitely interesting issue. Some good perspectives, and we'll have to see where it ends up. I mean, I guess really the only issue, because I was even thinking about it within squads myself. It's like there's lots of reasons to TK. Somebody lags out, right? You want their gear. I guess stuff like that maybe is not going to be banned or reported, but I don't know, kind of the blanket, like it's never okay to TK. I don't know. I don't know if I can.
Well, it's
jive
also
with
like,
that,
I mean, you would never get reported if you were
Yeah,
if you
true.
team killed someone you knew and they were like, oh man, I lagged out. They're not going to report you. So it's like
That's true.
this really
That's
is
true.
only when you're playing in the context of with people you don't know. And I feel like then the rules of conduct are important because it's like, let's make sure everyone can have a good time. But if you're playing with friends,
Yeah.
I mean, if you TK your friend and he reports you, then you might get banned. But if he just lagged out or whatever, like, I don't think it doesn't seem like they're proactively looking for people who have TK'd and reviewing. It's like I'm sure they're just going based off of reports they get.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so moving on from that, want to talk a little bit. Obviously, this is Sunday at the time of recording this and doing the show, but the PGL Major was all this last week, and I think as far as like quality Counter-Strike goes, some of the best matches and surprises that we've ever seen. I mean, there was a Swiss format for this major, so that just inherently, I feel like you get a lot of upsets. But I think this final was two teams that nobody expected, especially considering who attended the event. But so it was Gambit versus Immortals, and Gambit ended up winning 2-1 over Immortals in a very close Inferno game. Kind of back and forth, some really good clutches by Gambit. And anyway, it was, I don't know, did you guys watch much of the major? I don't know how much you guys got to
I didn't have a chance to watch a whole bunch of it. I caught the games where I could, but just based on the schedule, like, I couldn't follow the games too closely.
Brandon, did you?
I only got a chance to watch some highlights, but I was kind of keeping track of it on Twitter, like when I woke up, because the game started like 6 a.m. here. So I didn't get a chance to watch them live. But
yeah, the time zone.
But yeah, I mean, the highlights I watched were pretty nuts. There were definitely some stuff that came down to the wire, and I mean, glad to see Gambit win and see Zeus get a major. As always,
yeah. The storyline's amazing for people that don't really follow CS:GO. Zeus was cut from Navi about a year ago. And he basically said, he said on Twitter, he said he's not quitting this game until he wins a fucking major, was basically his quote. And a year later, he goes to Gambit and takes his team. I mean, he's like the veteran. Zeus is a god and really respected player from 1.6, obviously even into Go, but he never had a major in Go. And he took this team of kind of like a lot of potential on Gambit, but some young players that just came in, some veterans like Doja and Adren, but who just couldn't get over the hump. And he just, he molded these guys into like a really, really scary team. So it was a really cool storyline. Awesome to see him get it. And like I said, the quality of the games were amazing. We saw stuff like, Doja had a nade situation happen where
that was so good.
Did you see the nade?
It's amazing. Yes.
So it's like, stuff. This game has played. So many rounds have elapsed in Counter-Strike over the years that, like, to not have seen a play like this, it's like when you see something that you've never seen before, it truly is shocking.
You should explain for people that didn't see it what he did.
Okay, so it was an unwinnable round where Immortals had the bomb planted at the A bomb site, and I think it was like a 4v1 situation. And so Doja just had an AK that he was going to save, and he had a nade. And so the bomb's ticking down, and he's just trying to stay alive, seeing if he can pick any stragglers leaving the bomb site that want to stay alive from Immortals. And on Inferno, there's a pit area where if you have enough health and you position yourself in the corner of the pit, when the bomb goes off, so Immortals planted the bomb. When the bomb goes off, they stay alive because the bomb basically doesn't do enough damage to kill them. Well, Doja realizes just because he's a smart player that, there's 4 alive. He's not seeing anybody exit the bomb site from his angle, that they're in this area of the pit where they're going to try to stay alive. So he has one HE grenade, and right before the bomb goes off, he tosses it through the air, right basically on top of 2 Immortals players. So they get hit down to 50 HP. The bomb goes off. He kills both of them. And it was huge because this was a situation where I think it was their second round that they had won in the entire half, and their economy was already really stressed. So he basically took away 2 rifles with that play. And the crowd went nuts. It was something to see, kind of plays like that on a stage as big as a major in the final game. There's just so many cool moments like that where I was just like, this is just some of the best CS I've ever seen. It was really, really good.
Even I'm looking at the clip on the subreddit.
Yeah.
And just looking at one of the mods for the subreddit had to post an explanation for everyone coming in.
It was a good explanation.
The fact that this very simple, seemingly simple play requires 3 full paragraphs of explanation.
Yep.
I think more to how intelligent this play was.
Exactly.
You know, at least from a perspective of someone who won't understand that much about Counter-Strike.
Yeah, I had to watch that clip a couple times to realize what he did. Like when I first saw it the first time, I was like, okay, you know, yeah, he didn't die or whatever. But I was like, oh wait. When I watched it again, I was like, oh my god, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just such a smart play in a big situation. And then, oh man, anyway, definitely probably I'm just thinking back to like there's been some great finals in major history, but that one between Immortals and went to the 3rd map, and even though the scoreline ended up panning out, it wasn't like it didn't go into overtime or anything like that. It was, Gambit continually won these insane clutches. You had Hobbit with an insane 4K to save it, kills 4 players with the bomb planted when Immortals should have had the retake. And if you're on the Immortal side, you just, I almost felt, even though I didn't want Immortals to win, I had Gambit. The other thing I meant to mention was that I tried to, so for the first round, you can do the CSGO pick'ems where you buy the team stickers and then you can get a little digital trophy. I've talked about this in the past, last year and the year before, not the best. But this year I was like, I always end up doing it every major, even though I don't want to. So the first rounds in the Swiss format were so tough to pick. It was just the way that the tournament is formatted. It was like everybody's good. It's like, I don't know who's going to do well. I didn't do well in the first. So for the second, for the playoffs, I just had a coin and I flipped a coin for every single match. And the coin picked, no joke, the coin picked Gambit to win the entire thing. And so I put Gambit all the way through and I picked the winner of the entire thing. Unfortunately, it didn't do as well for who they were going to face and some other stuff. But it did pick the winner. And so this coin, I got it, actually, you can hear it. I got it right next to me here. I'm holding on to it for the next major, and I'm gonna hope. I'm gonna
pick'em coin now.
It's my lucky pick'em coin, and I'm gonna do it from the beginning, from every round. I'm just gonna flip a coin and see if I'll finally get a gold trophy. Now, I did so poorly in other aspects that I still got the silver again. Always the silver, never the gold. But I did finally pick a winner, so that was pretty big. Because I would never pick Gambit to actually win the whole thing.
But like that's impressive all on its own. Because honestly, with the way this major went, who is gonna have the gold trophy?
No, it's very few people. Absolutely, at this point, it was so many people's pick'ems were absolutely wrecked. Even after like day 1 or 2, it was so rough. But yeah, definitely a really good major. Started off a little bit rough production wise for PGL, but they really got it together towards the end. The show match they did today was fantastic. Overall, it was very good. So definitely cool to see over 1 million, at least in total for. So China's on a whole separate, because they have a whole separate streaming platform and stuff. But at one point in China alone, it was over 1 million, and then for today in the final, at least for like Europe and the US and stuff like that, we were over 1 million as well. So Counter-Strike's still getting some views, still pretty popular, still probably hard to beat as far as like spectator esport. I think there's not many games out there that are that easily watchable, even by people that maybe don't play the game to any kind of like serious degree. So very neat, and congrats again to Gambit on that. Let's jump into some quick hits here. The first one is about a little acquisition by Logitech, who are acquiring Astro for 85 million in cash. And from the looks of it, they're not going to be changing anything as far as the branding or anything like that goes. They're just basically going to be obviously in the Logitech family. You guys have any thoughts on this? I thought Astro would have been worth more than 85 million, but I think we were talking about in the pre-show, Brandon. You were like, maybe they have a bunch of debts or some other stuff.
Yeah,
making the price a little lower. Could be. I don't know. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I feel like Astro's been around a really long time though, and has a pretty good like brand reputation for at least in the console side. Obviously not PC really.
I mean, I think as someone who's not even really involved with console gaming, Astro is still a name that's always going to stand out. So yeah. I agree with you. I thought it was going to be worth more, but you're right. There's probably a lot of back of house business that that is detracting from their net value. But it's certainly like I think most people recognize the name Astro whether or not you're on console or
True.
But
PC, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the background of this deal is. Like, I'm not sure if
Yeah.
maybe just Logitech wants to get in the console market and they figure it's easier to do so with a brand that's already been there. But I mean, I like Logitech products. I like Astro products. So I imagine not much will change because I think the only reason you buy Astro is to keep the brand around. Like, Logitech makes good products too. There's no reason Logitech couldn't compete, and well, I mean, and they do compete in some ways with Astro's products. But I think they basically, you buy it for the brand name, and you know, I don't mind that. I like both of their products, and I imagine not a whole lot will change.
Yeah. So definitely, you know, keep an eye on that if you've got a little nephew or I said grandson. It's like we've got grandparents listening to this cast. I don't know why grandson came to mind, but you know, I actually never purchased Astros. I've actually received a couple pairs when I worked at Machinima. I always had Turtle Beaches. I was too cheap to go full out for the Astros, but the Astros that I used were pretty good. I feel like they were a little pricey for what they were, but you got the mix amp with it. That was like a big deal. Made it feel real fancy.
Yeah, well, like the the A50s. Like, I'm wearing A50s right now, and they're they're fine. They're like pretty reasonably priced. They're pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm glad Logitech bought Astro more than I am Turtle Beach, because I don't really own Turtle Beach products, but. Astro, a lot of people should have.
Yeah, Turtle Beach is definitely. I feel like Turtle Beach recently though had tried to go super. I forget what event I was at. Was it PAX or something? I feel like they've really tried to go premium. Like, I feel like they sell some pretty expensive headsets now, Turtle Beach.
I think
compared to what they used to do.
I think so, but I think Turtle Beach seems to lean really hard into console, and Astro. It's like Astro. Yeah. People just like Astro headsets, you know, for the PC. So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That's the only reason I bought them, is because they have a very good reputation just as good headphones.
Yep. All right. And so we're going to move on from that to more, I guess this is a rumor of an acquisition, so not an acquisition yet, but Corsair is rumored could be purchased for, I guess, a little less than 500 million.
Yeah. And this is when you say like you thought Astro would be worth more, I'm like, what, Corsair is worth $500 million? Like that? Yeah. I don't know. That maybe it's like I clearly just don't understand, you know, the behind the scenes on some of this stuff. But Corsair is like, they make, you know, they make products. I like Corsair's stuff, but a lot of what they do is like, Corsair makes memory. A lot of people make memory. Like, there's nothing special about Corsair's memory except that it's pretty good and they have a brand name. Right. So exactly. Like, if you would tell me that Astro is worth 85 million, but Corsair is potentially worth $500 million, like I don't know what that means.
Yeah, like the only thing I've ever really owned other than Corsair memory is the Corsair. I currently have a Corsair K70, and it's a very good keyboard. But again, that is an insane amount to just think like off of a couple of really good peripherals.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's, like you said, they do really have really good brand name recognition. I feel like if you say Corsair, I think generally people are like good quality products.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have to agree with that. You know, they have they have power supplies, they've got memory, they've got like pretty much every category they're in. I feel like they have a good reputation in that category. But wow, $500 million, that seems like a lot. And this acquisition's like a lot less interesting because it's just Eagle Tree Capital is like it's like some financial firm. And they have backers like Goldman Sachs and BNP Paribas. Like, it's just like a normal sort of run-of-the-mill, someone's going to take this over and like try and make more money or extract value from it. Whereas the Logitech thing is like, they bought Astro presumably because they think there's some synergy there. This is just like Corsair is going to get acquired by some financial company that's going to, you know, I guess continue doing what they do or change them to make more money.
Right. Exactly. All right. Well, there you go. I guess I think what I'm pulling, garnering from this is I have no fucking idea. I must be way off in what I think. Like, if you like, hey, what do you think this company would be worth to somebody? I would not be in the ballpark for either of these. It's either I would think way less or way more. I don't know. So
yeah, like I try and think about, like, you know, Twitch got acquired for almost $1 billion. It's like Corsair is worth half of a Twitch. Really?
Yeah, that's true. I guess when you compare it like that, that is actually that's a good comparison. You're like,
they're worth a quarter of an Instagram.
Man. All right, and Ying, do you want to take this next one because you did put this in here, but
yeah, I don't think there's much to it. I just thought it was maybe a simple talking point. Recently, Overwatch announced, I guess, a Major League Gaming league, and they had a brand new logo that was released for it, and nothing has been done legally from this point yet, but the Major League Baseball has requested a 90-day extension of time to oppose the Overwatch League's application for a trademark on its logo, because I guess there is some degrees of similarity, although it's not. I wouldn't call the Major League Baseball logo exceptionally creative in the first place, although I guess that's not the point. But I guess they see enough similarity there that they are currently investigating whether or not to challenge the trademark for this Overwatch League logo. Basically, the only similarities is that they both include a silhouette of some sort of a human figure, and between the silhouette, there is two different colors on either side where the silhouette bisects the picture. And then I guess it says, I guess the lettering is in the same place. I can't imagine that too much will come of this. It seems sort of like a futile suit to pursue. But I thought it was interesting that there is at least this. I think this is probably I guess the newest intersection between esports and physical sports.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the relationship
getting sued for your logo being too close. Yeah.
This could also
maybe that design is reserved for real sports.
Yeah.
This could also just, I mean, because I don't have any context on the trademark and when companies file extensions to potentially oppose an application or something. I have no context for how often that happens. It's possible that like MLB does this all the time just to, because this is something like they would normally review. And maybe someone didn't answer their email, and so like they request an extension because it's like, we just got to make sure we don't want to do anything here. I don't know. It seems like there's probably no story here yet, because this may happen all the time. And I don't know if, again, I can't deign whether this is actually unusual, because it picked up news traction somehow. But I think I think it was maybe just a slow news day.
Yeah, I mean, my assumption is that what they're reviewing is, because copyright law is so fickle, my assumption is that they're looking from certain litigious perspectives of whether or not, like, if they don't challenge this, are they going to lose grounds on more serious potential infringements later on? And that's what I imagine is all that's happening there, because they're only reviewing it. Nothing has been pursued yet.
Yeah, I know we're just we're saying nothing might come of it, but I think this is the end of the Overwatch League, guys. Listen, this is gonna be what does them in. This is it. They're gonna put their foot down on this one issue, dude, and they're just gonna get sued into oblivion. But no, yeah, definitely interesting. I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep our eye on it, see if anything comes of it. Like you said, probably not, but you never know. And then finally, real quick, in the quick releases before we jump into in the quick hits before we jump into new releases, Doom's paid DLC is now free for everybody, which is a nice little treat.
Yeah, especially since Doom just went on sale on the Steam sale earlier this month for like $10. So if you bought Doom on the Steam sale and now you get all the DLC for free, like it's such a good game, such a good deal. I'm kind of glad they did this, because I haven't bought any of the DLC for Doom, so I'm gonna have to revisit that. And it's just a good excuse to go back to Doom. And I'm kind of surprised they did this. Like, I wouldn't have expected them to just make the DLC all free, but I mean, who knows? I guess they sold enough copies of it early on that they're comfortable, they've made their money. So I hope. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna. I'm kind of sorry to cut you off. I was just gonna say, does this? We were talking about this again before we went live, but I was like, does this irk? Not that I'm not trying to find fake things to get mad at, but like if you bought Doom and paid for the DLC and played through it, and you kind of made the comparison, like, do people get mad when games go on sale? Like, that's a little bit different, but I guess free is different than like reduced price. So I mean, I guess this is just a goodwill thing. Like, I don't think anybody's gonna complain about it, but it's like, I guess more the question of like, if you're going to charge for something at one point, then that you're going to then make people be able to get for free later. Is there any kind of issue with that, or are you just kind of like, yeah, whatever, doesn't really matter?
I think
because I would be like, if you're ever gonna make it free, just make it free. Don't ever charge for it in the first place.
Yeah, but I think that, I mean, people buying games, hopefully at this point, should be used to paying for access when it comes out. If you want it to be reduced price or free, you just wait. Like, everyone at this point should know that games are going to go on sale aggressively sometime after they come out. And so I think it's like, yeah, some people might get upset a little bit if they spent a bunch of money on the DLC and the game. You know, if you spent like $80 total on a game and now a year later it's $10, maybe you're a little bit salty. But also, you know, you decided to buy it right when it came out. If you care about it that much, you're going to pay the premium.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you're right that I didn't really think about the angle is that you are really paying for like timely access or you know, getting it as soon as you can if you don't want to wait. So people are accustomed to that, I guess, now. I guess I'm just fighting against the tide of like, I don't really like that, but we always talk about that in relation to gaming. It's like, it is what it is.
I think that's becoming more and more like the overarching model for gaming, especially like with free to play. You notice, you know, like the old stuff that doesn't cost much at all. Like if you play League of Legends, the old characters, you're like, oh my god, I can get all of these for free because they cost almost nothing. But the new characters, if you want them the week they come out, those are super expensive. You know? Exactly.
Yeah.
But good on Doom. Like I feel like a lot of games should do this and they don't. Because like if your game's a year plus old, like why not just roll the DLC in? And I'm thinking about games like, you know, AAA games like Call of Duty, for instance, that never seem to go on sale and also don't include their DLC when you buy them. Like at a certain point, just, you know, make it a little more friendly. Like give the whole package, and you know, extract a few more sales from people that maybe would have been on the fence, and then your free DLC pushes them over. It just seems like it's a goodwill move all around. So I'm glad they did it.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's going to do it for the news and the quick hits. Some good stuff in there, Brandon. I know we don't have Katie Zen, and I know you did the new releases, so take us away.
I did. I toiled over the new releases. Actually, luckily this week was like a little bit easier than a normal week, because I think we have two releases that I've been looking forward to one. The other one I'm just aware of very keenly because it's been around so long. But so we have a few releases. I feel like we're kind of slowly seeing some games come out now. Now that we're kind of past E3, we're getting deeper into summer. July 25th, so that's on Tuesday. We've got a few games coming out on Tuesday. Fortnite comes out, and I feel like I love auto-playing websites when I'm hosting a podcast.
It just happened to me too because I clicked on it. That's great.
So Fortnite is from Epic Games. I have to admit, I do not know what it currently looks like. I don't know what kind of game it is because it has been around so long in PAXs and E3 and you know, other places. It has been around so long that I'm just surprised it actually came out. So it is a product. It is a game that you can purchase that is coming out officially on July 25th. I'm curious to see what the final iteration looks like, because I was telling Scott before the cast, I remember playing a build of this, I think at a PAX, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago. And I sort of, you know, you just forget about it, right? Because like they haven't really had a ton going on since then. But I guess behind the scenes they've been working on it. So so Fortnite, I don't think it's available on Steam. I noticed it was available on the Microsoft Store, if that's your fancy. Or you can find some other way to purchase it, but I don't think it's on Steam. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Fortnite. Have you heard anything about this recently, Scott? I feel like
I watched
as a streamer, you should be aware of these new,
I should. I watched. I saw it played at E3 and demoed, and it bored the fuck out of me. So I get not to say it's going to be a bad game, but I had the same kind of we were talking about earlier. I was like, I think you made the comparison to Firefall. Like that game, remember? That was forever. Like,
well, only in that it was like shown at
Yes.
so many events,
No,
and
I agree.
it eventually shuttered recently.
Yes.
But Fortnite is kind of that same sort of thing where like you just kept
gives me that
seeing it
vibe.
around, and you're like,
Yeah.
how is this game not out yet?
Right.
So I don't actually know how it's changed and evolved. But you
Exactly.
know, 3 years I feel like is an eternity in the gaming world.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So no, it's good. It's good that it's finally out, and people that play those type of games. I mean, it looks like a survival crafting, I don't know, kind of hybrid kind of game. Third person,
it's like,
some
it
combat.
looks like base building, loot and shoot, survival.
Yes, pretty much. Which
feel like-
again, that does not kind of falls flat to me. Like I think, and this is going back to my whole thing about it feeling like Firefall is like certain times when you develop a concept that seems novel 3 or 4 years ago, it is when you start to develop it. But then if it takes this long to come out, when I hear those buzzwords, it makes me want to go to sleep. So I'm not saying that the game's going to be bad or anything like that, but I guess that's the danger that, you know, when you get in that development cycle kind of bog where, you know, you're trying to get this thing out. And I dare say that we'll see how it is. We'll see how it's received. I just don't, it just gives me all the inklings of some of the other games that just didn't, were just shown forever.
Is it just me,
like,
or do I feel like Epic Games is just like doing these low key, kind of almost stealthy projects like Fortnite? They announced it so long ago, and it's just like sort of they've been working on it behind the scenes, and it's now finally coming out. And they're also doing Unreal Tournament. Like we don't hear anything about Unreal Tournament, but that's in
true.
development too. And like how are we not hearing more about these games? And they're just like, am I just randomly going to come across Unreal Tournament launching, you know, one of these weeks? It just feels so weird.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I don't know. Did you watch any of the E3 coverage of it, Ying, or see anything on it? Because I don't
for Fortnite.
For Fortnite, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I know almost nothing about this game.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I think you and a lot of people, because I think like the fatigue of like I've heard about it, but all right, it's out though. It's out. We'll see. Again, I have not played it. I don't know what the reviews of it are going to be like, but July 25th, tomorrow, you get to answer all those questions. So I'm sure everybody watching
will never see it at PAX again.
Yeah,
that's what an official release date means.
Yeah, I guess so.
But next up, this is a game I actually am quite excited for, called Pyre. So this is the new game from Supergiant, who made Bastion and Transistor, two fantastic games. Basically, like Supergiant is batting 1,000 for me right now. So I'm probably going to purchase this game. Like I'm not going to pre-order it because I just don't pre-order games. But like I've enjoyed Transistor and Bastion a lot, and I didn't regret those purchases at all. They also have a Supergiant, I feel like, has a very good reputation for having great soundtracks. Like the Bastion soundtrack is honestly one of the best game soundtracks probably ever. Transistor, also fantastic soundtrack. So like Pyre, and I see that you can pre-purchase Pyre and the soundtrack, which seems like a good deal. Yeah, I don't know a ton about it. It's a party-based RPG. Like I've seen some gameplay of it and stuff. It just, I don't know. Like basically for Supergiant, I'm gonna buy stuff off faith because they haven't made a bad game yet.
Yep. I just know it's gonna be good. The art style looks really interesting. The whole thing. I mean, it's hard to really get a gauge of exactly what it is, but it does look interesting.
But yeah, like I feel like with both Bastion and Transistor, those games are so unique in the way they play. They don't seem like they're taking a ton of inspiration from other things where you can say like, oh yeah, Bastion is exactly like this other game. Like I can't really tell you games that are similar to those games because they're just very unique in the way they play. So it seems like this one kind of is too. Like I don't really know what to compare this game to, other than to read the description. And the fact that it's from Supergiant means that I think it's going to be high quality. So that comes out this week. Looks like it's normally $20, which I think that's the other thing about Supergiant games is they're typically very reasonably priced. And it's currently 10% off if you pre-order, so $18 right now. So I think that one is going to be one to look out for. At the very least, catch some Twitch streams of it or something. But probably they usually have like good story elements, so I would maybe caution you not to play through it yourself and not watch all of it. This last one here, again, esteemed developer, so has a great reputation. This one, I don't know, Scott. How would you describe this game?
Okay, so picture this: you are on the top of a roof in New York City, and the 4th of July is elapsed 20 days ago. And you've got all these fireworks, though. You've got all these fireworks, and you couldn't secure the fireworks in time for 4th of July. But you're up there tonight, and it's a nice night. The stars are out. It's clear. And you're like, you know what? We're going to set these bad boys off. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever had an experience like that? Well, this game caters to that experience because this is called 4th of July VR. And it is being released literally 20 days after the 4th of July happened. And again, I don't know if this is a paid game. I'm guessing it's some kind of free game, but obviously I'm being sarcastic here because Brandon added this when he found it because he could not add it. But yes, this is a 4th of July VR game being released on July 24th. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what's going on.
You literally you're setting off fireworks.
That's it on the roof.
I see. You can shoot a star with your, with your Roman candle, and then the star disappears. So I don't, I have to say, I see in this trailer, I see someone pouring presumably your VR self, pouring what is presumably some explosive powder into a bowl. I don't think that are these like homemade bootleg fireworks?
I think so. This is like a lot of you're actually, it's like some serious crafting going on maybe to make the fireworks. So,
and I don't know that I'm super comfortable with all of these fireworks being shot off at an arc like a Roman candle, but they're like huge explosions. Like that is not safe.
I noticed here when we were talking about this game earlier, how we were talking about the developer was probably in the basement all day, sweating, trying to make this release date for July 4th, and he just couldn't make it. And I've just noticed that must be the truth because I've noticed that the Steam page isn't fully updated, and there is a release date under the description that says July 4th, 2017.
Oh, no,
and then elsewhere on the Steam page it says available July 24th.
Yeah.
So evidently that was the case. He just couldn't get it out in time for July 4th, but they missed a little update on the Steam page there.
I love the image of this guy or whoever. I mean, it's just probably a one-person show, but this guy just not even waiting until next year for it to be more timely, just being like, dude, I've worked too hard on this. 20 days after it's finally ready, we're going to release it. And his friends being like, dude, it doesn't make any sense. What are you doing? He's like, no, this is my passion project. People will flock to this. People want a July 4th fireworks experience. You know what? I also think his whole title is a misnomer because if he had just called it Fireworks VR, he could have totally avoided. I mean, obviously 4th of July is what you think about, but he could have just called it fireworks. And then it would have be like, okay. I mean, it could be for parades. It could be for lots of different things. Fireworks happen year round.
Yeah, he could have had Fireworks VR. Yeah. And on one of the levels is a July 4th chapter.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a little bit of a miss in the marketing here. You could, if you miss your date, you gotta work around it. Maybe just this becomes a generic fireworks game, and you have a 4th of July level, but you're kind of, we're only a few months out from New Year's. What about when I'm looking for New Year's fireworks VR? I'm not gonna search for 4th of July VR. That's the old game.
Exactly. Oh boy. Well, maybe it's his first, or it could just be, he's just getting into the whole VR market, and you know, I don't know. Maybe these tips he can use if he ever sees this for another time. And who knows? Maybe this will be the. I can't even say it with a straight face. Maybe this is the killer app that VR has been needing to get us guys on the fence who are like, yeah, stuff's too expensive. You watch. We're mocking 4th of July VR, but when it gets perfect scores, when it has a perfect 100 on Metacritic from every user, website, we're gonna be the ones that are gonna be looking foolish. So
I mean, I personally would absolutely subscribe to a 4th of July VR stream on Twitch.
Yeah. Okay.
That
there you
sounds
go.
like an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say that. Like, I think there is maybe something here, but you're 20 days late for the game you're releasing on July 24th. I think is clear. On July 4th. I also did discover, as I was searching for competitors to this game on Steam, there was apparently a game came out in 2014, Fireworks Simulator.
Oh,
where you actually like create your own firework display, and is apparently developed by certified pyrotechnicians.
Really? Okay. That's
So here's what he needs to do. He needs to get get in contact with the makers of Fireworks Simulator and say, look, let's meld the experiences here. All right, you got simulation on one hand, but then I want, you obviously want to experience your simulation as if you were there. So you got to have a VR element with your sim element, and then you ride off into the sunset, make that money.
Yeah, I like that. See, we can always, you know what? Sometimes here on the new game releases section, free advice is given out that could change somebody's life, Brandon. I mean, honestly, we shouldn't think too lightly about this section because I know it gets memey. There's memey games, but there's actually legitimate advice on here that could actually
absolutely.
If people want to take it, if people want to listen to it and take it, but
I think based on what I'm seeing of his game, he could use a little bit of input from a certified pyrotechnician. I'm just gonna say that. Like, I don't think in 2017, I don't think you have guys on roofs mixing powder in a bowl to make fireworks. That's just listen. I'm not a certified pyrotechnician, but I feel pretty safe in saying that.
Yep, I agree.
Anyway, 4th of July VR. That's out today.
Out today. Pick it up. All right, guys, we're gonna jump into the viewer questions, and I think we're just going with emails today. And we've got
emails.
Well, just emails, which is you know what, I'm fine with that. And our first email comes from Hitsu123, and he starts it with, "Hello, cast. It is me. We all enjoy the funny meme questions and everything, but let's buckle down a bit and get into something real." Oh, okay. You have my attention. "Every day I've been going to work, coming home, playing games, spending time with my lovely lady. However, working a wage cuck job, interesting. However, working a wage cuck job right now, it feels like I have no real direction in life. I just go to work to pay bills, then I come home and rinse and repeat, and I'm having trouble keeping my life fresh and new despite my hobbies. Lately, APL has been having children. Congratulations on the APL guppy to spice up his life and keep things fresh." I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, definitely, it definitely will spice my life up. That's one way to put it. So this is my question: how do you grown-ups progress and keep your life interesting and fun after months or years of the same day-to-day grind? He's going deep. That is quite a question. Yeah,
that is a good question. I think I don't know that I would assign his understanding of you having a child as like a spice, as like keeping things fresh.
There's lots of ways you can freshen up your life without. It doesn't have to involve the conception of children, but I guess that is
having a child. Creating the child actually free.
Yes, very true.
Or close to free. Maintenance of the child, absolutely not free.
And totally life-altering, and I don't know if spice is the right word for the ensuing 18 years and
I just
beyond.
love the phrase, lately APL has been having children. Clearly you dealt with the same issue, and so you just decided to have a kid.
I was just so bored with everything going on, and I was like, yeah, it's time. So
but no, it is a good question. I don't mean to make fun of the premise of the question.
No, that was funny. That was a funny bit or funny part. But no, that is a real question I think a lot of adults struggle with. You get into the grind. It's just hard to. I mean, he even talked about his hobbies and about how that's really he's just feeling like he's in a rut. I mean, I think one easy thing that you can do. I mean, this is it's easier said than done, but at least for me, in my life, travel has been a big thing that helps kind of change up the situation and also gives perspective. I feel like a lot of times, if you don't travel naturally for work, obviously that can be a little bit tougher. But even just making sure that you go to new places and get new experiences, I don't know. That's like one of the most invaluable things that you can do. So I think sometimes people will like, I haven't taken a vacation in 10 years, like it's some good thing. It's like, that's nothing to be proud of. I mean, I guess it's like, that's cool that like you just put your head down and work, but that can contribute to the whole, like, you don't really get perspective when your head's in the mud and you're just trying to survive and do life. So, and that doesn't even have to be anything crazy. Like, you don't have to like go to Asia or Antarctica or something like that. It could just be within the US. It could be doing an experience and doing something that you haven't done before. But I mean, I think even more invaluable. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, it doesn't have to be something expensive either. It's
no.
You could take a road trip or do something fairly inexpensively. But I agree that like travel can be a good way to spice things up, because when you go somewhere new, like you're slowly getting more and more experiences, and that by definition keeps things fresh and spices things up.
Definitely.
And what that'll also do is that once you come back, at least I'm this way. I love traveling. When you come back home, you also very much appreciate coming back home.
I was just gonna say that next. Yeah, exactly. Then that's a perspective. Yeah. So you travel quite a bit, Yang, for work?
I used to.
Okay.
It's been quite a while, but I spent a lot of time earlier on before I went to university and a little bit in my early years of university, having the luxury of being able to travel a lot. I would say the only downside to traveling a lot is that it's very difficult to stop. Once you are in one place for a little while or you haven't traveled for a very long time, you now get like an itch. Like you now are thinking about what's the next place I'm going to go to, and it's if you can't, as I said, like there's traveling that you can do that's relatively inexpensive, but it's one of those things that's very difficult to suppress when you get in your head that I really want to go visit this place, and you're used to traveling and you remember the feeling. So I haven't traveled for a while. It's been maybe 3 years. I've been sort of with my head down, working and finishing my degree. But yeah, it's traveling. That's a really, really good answer. I didn't think about it, but that is definitely a good way to, as you said, expand your perspective. And then when you come back home, you can just look at your home differently, and you feel more appreciative of it because now you're more comfortable.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other things that were. I mean, I just feel like for his situation, that was what I just gravitated to, because it does sound like he's in kind of that, he has a job, he has stuff that he enjoys, but he's just kind of, it's monotonous. So.
For sure. I would say maybe most recently, because I haven't had the opportunity to travel recently, because I was experiencing somewhat of like a stagnation in terms of what I was putting my efforts towards. And obviously, I mean, focusing on my career is a big part of it, but of course that, you have to, as he says, spice things up or switch it up. And that's the only reason I ever started streaming for Extra Life. Was like, because I wanted to get involved in something that I could feel really good about, but something that was also totally separate from what I do in every other regard of my life. It's, aside from, playing games, obviously I play games in my spare time, but dedicating yourself to something that requires an effort, or you can see progress, something that you can build sort of as a personal project that is long-term, that you can come back to, and something you can at least even think about when you're at work or on your, as he put it, the daily grind. So diversifying your focus, I think, does a lot just for your, in a more passive way, your mental state, as opposed to something, travel is sort of a more specific, acute commitment. Whereas, where I, decided to start streaming on Twitch and getting involved with Extra Life, a little more long-term, something that you can switch over to in the long run.
Yeah, good advice.
I think it also just setting something Ying said stuck out to me, like just setting some sort of goal for yourself. When you say you're kind of going to work, coming home, playing games, and kind of rinse repeat, you can choose to change that up. and it might require playing fewer games, or spending less time with your significant other, or something else. Like you might have to sacrifice something else, but it could be going to the gym. It could be setting some goal for yourself in some other aspect of your life. That I think that can also spice things up, just because Ying said diversity of focus. I think that's a good way, like kind of changing your focus away from these things you normally do, and maybe cutting down on something and starting something new, trying a new hobby, trying something different, something that you can work toward. That if you don't have like the money or the means to take a vacation or do something like that, like you can sort of just change up your everyday routine, but that may feel uncomfortable or weird, because like I know that as I've gotten a little bit older, it's harder to find time to play games all the time. And so when I want to play games, I will. But a good way I don't get burnt out on gaming is that I don't really get, like, I have other things going on that require my time that I enjoy. But now when I play games, when I sit down and play, I think I enjoy it more because I'm not just sitting there playing games all day like I used to when I was in high school,
Yeah, it's a really good point too. Definitely setting goals. And I found, like, just as a real world or real life experience in regards to that, like when I find myself getting into the rut or whatever else, or just feeling like I'm just going through the motions and I'm not, whatever, it's like things are fine, but there's not excitement or whatever else. A lot of times it does go back. I'm like, do I really have anything I'm working towards or trying to do, or a project that what Yingity said, or Dingity Dang, as I call him sometimes late at night, said. And
that's a different project.
That's a different Dingity Dang project. But yeah, that's really good advice, because that gives you something to work towards or focus on or to learn or do. So yeah,
I feel like you've got a decent amount of experience with that, because like your actual full-time work is kind of playing games and working from home, which I feel like it basically leads to being able to get in a rut very easily. Like one of the things that allows me to stay out of that is that I get out of the house and go to work each day, and that can feel like a rut, but it's like there's something new going on each day. It's like a little bit more exciting. If you're just working from home, like you're playing games all the time, I think it's easy to get into that rut. How do you spice things up, aside from having a child?
Yeah, well, of course, he already told it. But number one is to have a kid, which of course I've done that. So that spice is on its way. But no, for me, like, so one of the things, in addition to doing this podcast, I started a podcast that I wanted to do a long time. Just shameless self-promotion here, but with my dad and one of my other friends from LA, Frankie. And that was a project that I had been putting off forever. And anyway, I started doing it. I was just like, all right, I just need to stop procrastinating and do it. It'll be something fun to do. So I think project oriented, setting a goal, like for me, like you talked about working out and stuff like that. And, I yo-yo with my weight here and there, but like, so like recently,
for a split second, I thought you were like, yeah, yo-yo in my spare time. I've been working on my skills.
Exactly. No, not actually yo-yoing, but who knows? Now that you said it, that does sound interesting.
I mean, you're looking for some cardio, like yo-yoing can do it.
Exactly. But yeah, like, so setting a goal, like whether it's weight loss or just wanting to like hit the gym a certain amount of days, is helpful for me, definitely. And also I think, I don't know, for me, I think he seems like he has a pretty not regimented, but like a pretty good schedule or things like that. If you feel yourself like you're just going through the motions and doing that, like put something in there that is out of the ordinary. And even if, like you said, it may feel weird, because we're creatures of habit, so we like to. It's easy to get into these ruts and it's uncomfortable. Like you said, there may be other sacrifices, but a lot of times that can be worth it to just kind of shock your system a little bit and be like, okay, like let's try something new. So yeah, there's lots of little things that I've done over the years, but I've definitely felt like kind of the grind thing. And that's one of the biggest, especially with working from home and not really interacting with people in the workplace. That's like, to me, that's one of, even though it's like I'm interacting with people online, there is something markedly different about going into an office and having that kind of, like, as much as like I love to like lambast Machinima for certain things, the people I worked with were great. There were great times there as well. So, keeping it fresh and stuff like that is good. And yeah, like you said, I mean, dude, just have a kid, man. I mean, that's just, you nailed it. I need more spice. So.
Also, I didn't like in his explanation. I didn't see, spending time with friends. Like, I think that's one thing one way to keep things fresh is, like on the weekends or whenever you're off work, go do something with your friends that's maybe not just like playing games online or whatever. Go, I don't know, see a movie or go. You can go to the zoo. You can go to I don't know, just go do something that's like somewhat out of your normal routine, but something that you might enjoy doing with a friend. And I think that's that can spice things up. Just, have some plans, make some plans with the other people in your life. Maybe bring your lady along.
Yeah, exactly. Like we said, vacation, but even like just a day trip somewhere or something is, I mean, like you said, zoo, aquarium, I don't know, anything. Go to a farm, pick some fruits or flowers, this. I feel like we've been on this question for, I feel like 20 minutes at this point. I feel like we need, okay, this is what I'm going to say to you, Hitsu. I feel like we've given you so many options. I want to hear like an update. It doesn't have to be next week or the week after, but if you use any of the advice that we gave, I want to hear an update. Like, I don't know, what do you think? Like, give him a month and a half, 2 months, and see where he is.
If you find something that helps you, something that helps you spice up your life, then reply back. Let us know.
Yeah, exactly.
We very rarely get follow-ups about these serious questions. Like, sometimes I think we have a modicum of good advice, but I don't know if it ever actually helps.
Exactly. If it ever, it's hard to know if it penetrates, but let us know if we've penetrated at all and if any of it helps, man. I hope you get out of hope you find something that spices it up. So great question. We spent longer on that than I thought we were going to, but we're going to now move on to what has become a tradition the past few weeks, and that would be Love Muffin's novelization of the KBMOD screenplay based on the novel Push by Sapphire, a choose-your-own-adventure book, which has been Love Muffin brought this to us, and we are, from week to week, we're choosing what to do, and obviously what we do affects the story. It's a choose-your-own-adventure. So he has provided us with more of the story. So I can't wait.
KD is gone, but we'll just have to imagine like what KD would do in this situation. I feel like we know him well enough.
Exactly. So we'll make the decision for him here, and we'll try to get into his headspace. So he writes, "Hi KBMOD. Last week while reading the novelization of the KBMOD screenplay based on the novel Push by Sapphire, Choose Your Own Adventure book, you chose B, a hipster donut shop. Here are the results of that choice. I apologize for the length, but there is an additional choice this week with possible dire consequences for a member of our gang." Wow. The stakes are getting high. Yeah, here we go. Okay. "Where are we going?" asks KD. "Portland," mutters Papa Barndoor, "and stay frosty. There could be family video goons anywhere. That operation is bigger than we ever imagined. We are going to meet the one man who knew all along." How will we know what he looks like?" asks Katie. "No one's ever seen him," says Papa Barndoor, "but we'll know him by the thumbnail portrait of a popular meme covering his face." God damn it. The KBMOD squad pulls up beside the trendy donut shop in Papa Barndoor's big muffler car. The cow catcher on the front sweeps away a crowd. The cow catcher on the front sweeps away a crowd of swooning babes. "This is the place," says Papa Barndoor as he reads the sign on the window that says, "Trendy, but not too trendy." Inside, they walk past a sea of distressed skinny jeans and mustaches trying just a little too hard to a table where a man with "Dat Boy" for a face sits drinking yerba mate for some reason. Oh boy. "How did you find me?" asks a relaxed voice. "I control all the memes coming in and out of this town," says Papa Barndoor. "This one is just out of date enough to meet your irony standards." The waiter returns to take their donuts. To take their donut orders. Okay, so here we go. Here's the question. Does the mysterious masked figure, it's Brad, by the way. God, it's so good.
Diffuses the mystery.
Yeah, the mystery no longer. Order A, a bear claw, or B, a maple bacon bar. So that's the first.
So this took a twist. I thought we were gonna have to think of what KD would do. We have to think what Brad would do.
What Brad would do, the masked figure, yeah. What would Brad do? I feel like
I feel like Brad is a bear claw guy.
I was just gonna say, I bear claw was what was coming to my mind. I don't know why, but he does seem
Yeah,
like
I don't
that
know
kind of
why,
guy.
but I can just picture Brad's
Just
face
chowing down.
just lighting up when he sees a bear claw.
Okay, are you good with that, Yang? Are you good to?
Yeah,
shall
that
we?
sounds good.
Okay, so we're gonna go with in case of answer A, which is a bear claw. Of course, he has a write up. I mean, this is some serious. He gave us answer B, which we will not read for the integrity of the story. But let's go. Okay, so we're gonna read answer A. There's something you need to know, says the masked figure as he munches a delicious bear claw. There is someone or something else behind these family video memes. How do we stop them, says Katie, munching a delicious bear claw. I can't help you with this. There's only one who truly knows how to... oh, sorry. Says Katie, munching a delicious bear claw. I can't help you with this. There is only one who truly knows how to stop them. Give us a name, says Papa Barndoor, munching a delicious bear claw. Okay, so we need bear claws.
Where did we get all these bear claws?
I love how there's only one bear claw at the beginning, but now everybody's what the fuck? Oh, Jesus, this is so good. Brad slowly pulls off his mask as he continues to munch a delicious bear claw. Let's go. Oh my god. All right. Does the KBMOD squad go to A West Coast wing joint, or B, post meme apocalyptic, I can't say meme apocalyptic Philadelphia, or C, the bathroom?
I think we decided last time that post meme apocalyptic Philadelphia sounds like Endgame.
Right, like it's going to be over.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit taken aback by the fact that we have two choices that appear very much out of the way, or the bathroom.
Or the bathroom right there.
Do you think out of convenience, maybe we check out the bathroom first then? Because
if
we go to the West Coast wing joint, then if we have to end up coming back to the bathroom, that's a long way to go back. Might as well just hit it while we're here, right?
That's true. And after what is like this never-ending bear claw, one of us is going to need the restroom.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question. Okay, yeah, I'm good for the restroom, but just proximity.
I think we
check
hit
it
the
out
bathroom on the way out.
Yeah, we got to hit it. Okay, so we're going to choose the bathroom. So there you go. Love Muffin. This is getting spicy. I just want to know what happens next every week, dude.
For the sake of 100%ing this playthrough,
yes.
Do we also read out in case of answer B, because it is dramatically different?
It is very dramatic. I feel like, maybe because he did write it, and just so that people know what could have happened.
Yeah,
I
feel like because we've already made the choice, right? And I can attest to the fact that we did not read the choices beforehand.
Ahead of time.
We picked and we're living with the answer we decided on. But we should probably read out what we avoided by not choosing that maple bacon bar.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so here we go. So if we had taken answer B, this is what would have happened. A loud crack splits the air as a sniper's bullet silences the masked figure permanently. What? Oh my god! Brad gets shot in the face? Okay. Katie and Papa Barndoor leap to safety behind a faux vintage couch. It's family video. They didn't want him talking. Katie sheds the second bro tear of his life and examines the maple bacon bar. There was a transmitter. Papa Barndoor examines the transmitter. I think I know someone who can trace this for us. Wow. So Brad gets shot in the goddamn face by a sniper bullet. So wow. Okay.
Like
so
good thing Brad likes bear claws, because that maple bacon bar. I wasn't thinking about like the shape, but you could fit a nice little transmitter right inside that bacon bar. It's the right shape for it.
Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. Holy crap! Wow, we actually saved Brad's life.
We literally dodged a bullet.
I was just about to say that.
Holy shit, that's amazing. Wow. I mean, this is some good stuff, Love Muffin. All right, dude. So so just again to recap, we did go with answer A, and we are going to be choosing the bathroom to check out next for next week. So yeah. in chat also just said, a game where choices actually matter. PogChamp, exactly. It really does. This is amazing. This is better than any Telltale game I've ever played, or Choose Your Own Adventure. All right, so there you go. That's going to do it for the viewer questions / viewer emails. And this is where we would have the iTunes podcast review of the week. But I don't think I have to tell you that we have been barren. We have been without child for a lot of weeks at this point. It has not been good. So if you want to leave a review, you can simply log onto iTunes on your phone, on your computer, whatever you would like. Make sure if you're going to leave a review, you leave us 5 stars. That is the one requirement. And then you can put anything you want in the body of that. And we'll probably read it because at this point, we haven't had a review for a little while. So
that little section is your own Choose Your Own Adventure game.
It's true.
Put whatever you want in there.
Yep. It is. That is your domain. And if you want to do that, like I said, just make sure that you give us 5 stars. But yeah, I think other than that, that's going to do it for episode 286 of the KBMOD podcast. Thanks for hanging out and listening. As always, you can check out kbmod.com for that early access first look of Brawl Out by Drake, the Cougar Revenger. I can't fucking say it. The Cougar Revenger Sensor Gaming Mouse review by Brad. Of course, we got the forums on there and the multi-stream and some other stuff to check out. Remember, Extra Life LAN is August 18th through the 20th. So get that onto your calendar. It's coming up very soon. And if you're not going to obviously be attending in person, we would love to see you on the stream. And make sure you save a little bit of money to be able to donate for some fun incentives. And of course, give some money to sick kids. And you can follow KBMOD Gaming on Twitter at KBMOD Gaming. I am at APL Fisher. I believe Yingity is at Yingity Yang, correct? YN. Wow. Okay, let's start that over.
I think it's getting worse every time you try.
Every time I just destroy it. I'm done. You know what? Just find Ying at YN on Twitter. It
should come up.
It'll come up once you start typing it. YN. And you can find Volition at 1. Okay. That's the number 1. Oh, man. No, VOL1TION. And yeah, thanks again for hanging out with us. And we will see you guys next week. Farewell. Yatta!